Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to do is to look at the Holy Trinity, which is made up of Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, and Vacheron Constantin. A lot of people think that Lange Söhne should be added to that group, and so here I've got a Lange Söhne that we'll start off with, and then we'll get into the more traditional of the uh, Holy Trinity. Okay, first of all, the data graph up down, instead of the data graph in general, I think it was Philippe Dufour who said that he's got one and considered it to be the best kind of that watch, basically a chronograph, and it certainly is. Now, trying to find the price on these things, and by the price I mean the MSRP on it. I came up with 95,840, which is a lot, but having looked at some other places, and that seemed to be, at least for this particular watch, that seemed to be the MSRP. Now, the one that's being shown there is in white gold. I think they have white gold, platinum, and rose gold. So we'll start with that. Caliber L51.6. It's a manual wind, 60-hour reserve, and 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour. I mean, I love this watch, but there's no way in the world I could afford it. So I won't even pretend. Now, on the right side, as an alternative, there's a Parmigiani tondometrograph. This Parmigiani is one of the most undervalued watches I think around. They're really excellent watches. Some of the older ones, people simply didn't like them for one reason or the other. But I don't think that anyone ever said, "Oh, they're crumbly made." They're not. They're extremely well made. I have a couple Parmigianis, including one with a metal bracelet, and it's really excellent in all ways. Now, this one, the tondometrograph, as a chronograph, I'm not into chronographs, I'll admit it, but if I were, I'd probably have bought this by now. It's the price, $59.50, is a deep discount price on the secondary market. These things, I think their MSRP is, I don't know where it is, but it's like 12,000 or something like that, possibly more. But it's a neat watch, and so instead of spending $95,000 that most of us don't have, this I thought was a perfect alternative. I've mentioned this particular watch before. It's that watch outlet, and why it's still available at that price, I have no idea. But anyway, so that's the first one. Okay, now we're going to get into what we might call the regular Holy Trinity, and let's take a look at some alternatives for those. The first one is the Patek Philippe Nautilus. This one has got a caliber 26-330 SC, automatic, 4 hertz, 35 to 45 hour reserve. Silicon balance. To me, it's sort of like silicon balance is cheating, but that's me. Still, I was on a cruise once, and I saw a guy with one of these watches. It could have been steel, it could have been platinum, it could have been white gold. Gorgeous watch, really a gorgeous watch. But $70,000, man, it's really very, very high. Now, on the other hand, the Chopard Alpine Eagle 41, this one has a similar kind of presentation. It's not trying to be a copy of the Nautilus. but it has a lot of the same features. Now this one, the MSRP is 14,080, which again is pretty much a fraction of $70,000. But I found them. I found one pre-owned in very good shape for $8,200 on Chrono 24. So again, here you can have a really excellent watch, but you're not. I mean, you don't have to pay an arm and a leg, and I wouldn't pay an arm for a watch with a silicon balance. That's just me. So just forget about that for now. It's my own peccadillo. Now, another Patek Philippe, and this is another one I really like. In fact, I think I like the Aquanaut better than I do the Nautilus. There's something about it I just like. This one, again, this has got a 26 330 SC movement, automatic, 35 to 45 hours, 28,800 semi-oscillations per hour, like all of the post-2009 Patek Philippe. Just got the silicon hairspring. Now, an alternative is the Piaget Polo S. And there are a lot of these around. You can find some good buys on these. I found one. This one I found $87.50 at Joma Shop, brand new. I think they're probably around, I don't know, 10 or 12,000 if you go in, and that's, I think, is the MSRP on the Piaget. Still, it's half of what an Aquanaut would run you. It's caliber 111P. Now the base movement on this is the Cartier 1904-PS MC. MC means manufacturer Cartier. Okay, so you're getting sort of a in-house Cartier in a Piaget. Now, why, you may ask, since Piaget has been making its own movements for a long time, why are they using this 1904 from Cartier? Well, both Cartier and Piaget are owned by Richemont, and Richemont owns a lot of these higher, really fancy brands, and Piaget is one of them. And so is Cartier, and so they figure, well, why make multiple movements that we can use in several different watches that our brand owns? And it's a good movement, so whether you want to call that in-house or not, it doesn't really matter. It's a good movement, so that's something, I think that's more important than whether it's in-house or out-house. Okay, moving right along, we come to the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. This is another watch I like. I like the original Piaget Royal Oak. I just like the design. I like everything about it. 28,600 bucks. That's a lot, and it's just not something that I could afford. You don't find a lot of great deals on the used market on these either. Caliber 4302 automatic, 4 hertz, 70-hour reserve. Nice watch. Now, as an alternative, I picked the Grand Seiko Sport, and it's Grand Seiko. There are a lot of regular Seikos, not Grand Seikos, that are available that are really nice. Also, too, they have a number of the ones with the, what do they call it, the something drive with that. Basically, you have a mechanical movement that generates electricity for the quartz. Anyway, I left those out. Now, this one is a high beat. I'm not crazy about high beats. Banging on your parts like a rented mule, but they're very accurate. It's a very nice watch. That's one thing about Seiko. You get a whole lot for the money on a Seiko. And this Sport SBG J239, I think is a really good choice for an alternative to something like a Royal Oak because of the price. Now again, if you go into the used market on these, you can find a lot better prices than 6,600. That's the MSRP. Okay, now the final one is one again, this is something I brought up before. In 2016, I had an overseas. I had the original overseas, and so I went down to the Vacheron Constantin store in New York, their boutique there, and my plan was I was going to trade in my OS one for overseas one and get a brand new one that came out in 2016 with the 5100 movement. Now I had read a lot about the Vacheron Constantin 5100 about 3 years prior to this, back in 2013, I think it was. They came out with another new movement called the 4400, and the 4400 was a hand wound movement, and I got one of those in the Historiques Americaine 1921 that Vacheron Constantin makes. But I wanted to get another overseas to replace my old one. So they told me, well, we don't take trade-ins. So that was it for me. But while I was there, I tried on this other one that came out at the same time, the Quadrille. And it too had a 5100 exact same movement. And I think about the only difference between these two watches in what to me was important, and it turned out not that important, was the rotors in the overseas is made of gold, and the ones on the Quadrille were made of rhodium or something like that. Also, too, the overseas came with 3 quick release bands. They had a bracelet and then a gaiter and a rubber band that you get with the overseas. The Quadrille came with a rubber band and a gaiter band. So as an alternative, this is you can get a brand new one for around $12,628 at Joma's shop. I've seen, I think these are as low as somewhere around the Quadrille around 9,000 on the pre-owned market. To me, when I tried them both on, I like the Quadrille better, in part because I like hand dates, and that's sort of like a hand date, but a little different than that. And I think this is a great alternative. And as much as I like the overseas, $25,000 is a little rich for me. 12,000 is too, but that's, I'm a watch collector. I don't have a brain in my head when it comes to buying watches. Anyway. Let me know what you think of these are my, instead of the Holy Trinity, and this is an opportunity to subscribe us if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.